Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Antonio here from Pixelvator, and I just got back from a hands-on event in New York with the Nintendo Switch. I got to check out the Joy-Cons, the Pro Controller, the unit itself, play a couple games, and I'm going to let you know what I thought of it, but first, Corey from Nintendo is going to go over some of the basic hardware features to kind of give you a refresher, or maybe you don't know specifically what new things the Switch has to offer. So it'll only be a couple minutes, and then I'll dive into my thoughts. This is these are the Joy-Cons here, and the Joy-Con grip. It's actually pretty light.
Feels good, yeah. They've got the Joy-Con controllers in the grip accessory, and of course you can see on the back there, you've got the release buttons. If you hold the release button, the Joy-Con just slides right out, like so. You can hold them independently for games that, you one in each hand. Mr. Koizumi actually showed on stage during the presentation, you could be like really relaxed playing on the couch with these like down by your side. You can also share one with a friend who, you can hold one Joy-Con. You can go in horizontal mode style, so you still get these triggers up on the top, SL, SR buttons. So you still got a fully featured controller going horizontal. Of course, the right Joy-Con has the Amiibo NFC touch point kind of right there. You've got the IR motion sensor down here, your face buttons, you got the two triggers. On the left Joy-Con, you've got your capture buttons, so it takes a screenshot of a game, you can then share it on social media. And then, of course, they both got motion control in there. They both have HD Rumble as well, which is a new feature of vibration kind of technology.
That actually feels pretty good. I was testing it out. It definitely feels different.
It feels different. It feels good. There's a game in the upcoming 1-2 Switch game where players have to guess how many marbles are in the Joy-Con, and as you tilt the Joy-Con left and right, you can almost feel the thunk of each marble hitting the side. So it's a really cool feature. We'll flip it over. We've got the kickstand you can see on the back here.
Nice.
I can flip that out, just like so. And then you've got kickstand. Of course, you could be playing with the Joy-Con. You could play with the Pro Controller this way. Multiplayer games with it in tabletop mode. And then if I want to dock it back in, by the way, this is where the micro SD XC or micro SD HC cards will go. You can see the little slot there.
Do you know what size they go to?
So right now, I believe the highest you can get on the market is 256 gigabytes. Nintendo Switch will support that.
That's great.
I'm going to go ahead and just dock it back in. You can see it. It's going to seamlessly transition right back to the TV mode. There we go. And
oh, that's crazy. That's so cool. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming.
The first thing I noticed about the Switch console itself is how small it is. Even with the Joy-Cons attached on the side, especially when you compare it to the bulk and heft of the Wii U gamepad, which was very plasticky, cheap feeling. It felt like my first tablet kind of thing, if you will, for kids that you find in like a Toys R Us for like $50, which is in stark contrast to the Nintendo Switch console itself. It feels very solid, has some heft to it, feels very much like a $299 device, which surprised me. I was a little skeptical, I wasn't sure, especially when you compare that, you think back to what the DS feels like. Not to knock it, because it's still a solid system. I've dropped mine a couple times, no issues, but they're primarily just plastic, whereas this feels like a higher-end Android tablet, or even, dare I say, maybe an iPad. Maybe. Okay, not quite an iPad, but still definitely worth that price, really solid. The Joy-Cons themselves, not only are they small, but they're very, very light, like a feather. And it feels like you're really holding nothing. It reminds me of the 4th generation Apple TV remote, except a little bit lighter than that. That thing, I feel like, if I just go like this, it's just gonna freaking fly across the room, which, now that I think about it, it probably has. Probably my wife's fault, though. Love you, wife. She's helping me record over there. She's a sweetheart. That's why she's my wife. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, the controllers feel light, but they don't feel cheap. I need to stress that, which is good because if you lose one of the controllers or you want a blue Joy-Con to match the one that comes in if you got the colored box, because the colored bundle only comes with one of each color, you're spending $50 a Joy-Con. A PS4 controller costs $40 on sale, which you can usually find. So it's good that they feel solid, because one of the things you can do with the Nintendo Switch is unhook each one of the Joy-Cons and give it to a friend. And as you can see right here, there were two guys playing this game in tabletop mode, which is a really cool feature, a really cool way to play Switch games. And I asked them afterwards what they thought, and they were like, yeah, it was pretty comfortable. The buttons can sometimes feel a little crammed, especially if you're someone with bigger hands, so it may not be ideal. But for short multiplayer bursts here and there, I don't see anyone having a real problem with them. Another neat thing is each Joy-Con, even included in the box, has a wrist strap, similar to what we used to get on the Wiimotes, except one cool thing with the ones on the Switch is the Joy-Cons each have a little shoulder button that you can kind of push in, but when you slide on the Joy-Con wrist strap, it actually extends those buttons, so it makes the Joy-Con a little bit taller, but then it also makes those shoulder buttons more accessible, so it feels a little better that way. And they actually pack a lot of technology, as you may have seen if you watched the event. One of the things that the right Joy-Con has is a built-in NFC reader, which I tested with Skylanders, and I used the Bowser Amiibo. You just really, quick, just tap it on top of their joystick, it reads the data, and you're on your way. The right Joy-Con also has a built-in IR camera, so it can sense things like the depth, how far away your hand is, or if you're doing rock, paper, scissors. I don't know what use that's really going to serve, but it's there, so I don't know. And the left Joy-Con, I'm trying to think. I don't think it has really any technology built into it except for what the right Joy-Con has as far as button structure and whatnot. One of the cool things is both Joy-Cons, even though they're small, they get about 20 hours battery life each. Now, one thing that's worth pointing out, which I did not know until today, is that the Joy-Con grip that comes packed in with the Switch does not charge your Joy-Cons. It's strictly just a housing that they slide into to turn it into a controller. Honestly, if they get 20 hours of battery life on each one anyway, it's going to take a while for you to run them down. If you also take them and if you have your system docked and you dock the Joy-Cons and let it go overnight, they'll be juiced up in about 3 hours. When they're connected to the Switch at all times, the Joy-Cons are always charging. You can also get an external Joy-Con charger. I've seen them, accessory makers have them where you can charge up to 4 at a time. There'll probably be more later on down the road, but I mean, with 20 hours battery life, I don't think you're gonna have a real issue. One thing about the Joy-Con grip that actually surprised me was it's comfortable, which I didn't see coming because it looks big, unwieldy, and bulky, kind of like the old Wavebird controllers, which I know Tristan is a big fan of. But it felt pretty good, which is definitely a plus since that's what comes with the system and not the Pro controller, which I will also get into. If you want to get the Joy-Con grip that charges your Joy-Cons, it'll set you back $30. Not too bad, but it's a tough call for me because I think if I were to get one, I would just put that money towards the Pro controller because let me tell you, that Pro controller feels nice. I didn't play a whole lot of games with it, but the hands-on time I had, it felt really good. The Pro controller with the Wii U has stellar battery life, but there's just something about it. It wasn't my favorite controller by far. My favorite controller at the moment would probably be the PS4. That is until I used the Switch Pro controller. It just has this nice weight to it. It's not too light like the DualShock 3s used to be, but it's not too heavy like maybe the original Xbox controller. It has this nice balance. The top is like this smoky gray opaque, so you can actually see the circuitry underneath in the controller, which is really cool looking. Triggers feel good and responsive. They have a good bounce back. Face buttons are clicky like you'd want. And The joysticks themselves actually feel really, really smooth. I'm gonna actually say they're probably the smoothest joysticks on any controller I've ever used, which will bode well for Splatoon and games like that. So Pro Controller, I definitely recommend it. It will set you back $70, unfortunately, possibly because it includes an NFC reader. And it also has the motion controls with the accelerometers, which the Joy-Cons also have. They each have their own accelerometers. They can detect motion, because everything has an accelerometer now. One thing I honestly could not stop doing is just docking and undocking the system over and over, because there's something weirdly satisfying about it. The dock uses USB-C on the bottom of the Switch console itself. USB-C is an awesome standard, super small port. It'll pass the audio, the video, charge, data. Let's say you're playing a game on the go, you come home, you just pop your Switch in the dock, and in about 2 seconds, whatever you were playing is up on your TV, and you're ready to go either with your Joy-Cons or your Pro Controller. It really is honestly as seamless and fast as they made it look in that initial reveal trailer, and it was pretty impressive. And it's just as fast the other way around. So I was playing a game, I undocked it, slid on the Joy-Cons, and I was good to go on the Switch console itself, which brings me to my next point. A lot of people nowadays bitch and moan about resolution. Oh, this Xbox One game is actually 900p. Oh, but on the PS4 it's native 1080. You're not gonna notice. You don't notice that. You don't. If you put them side by side, you're not gonna know. You're just not. And people were like, oh, it's a 6.2-inch screen, so it might look blurry or fuzzy because it's only 720p. It's a 6.2-inch screen. 720p on that, I can tell you, looks fantastic. The screen's really good. It has great saturation, good colors, it's pretty vivid, nothing looked washed out. Text was easy to read even when it was smaller. I was able to make out, little icons and things for games without any real issue. So yeah, I don't think people should be worried about the screen. Is it the best screen I've seen? Of course not. Is it the worst screen I've seen? Definitely not by far. It gets the job done, and that's what matters. It also is a touch screen, which there wasn't anything that supported touch at the time, so we'll see how far that goes. But the screen itself looks good. The games themselves were good. I played some Skylanders, which I've never really played Skylanders. My brother-in-law and his son play it all the time. But it, ran well, ran smooth, undocked the Switch itself, no issues there. Unfortunately, I did not get to play Zelda. But what I did see, I can tell you, the game looks gorgeous. It runs super smooth. I didn't notice any issues from anyone playing. When people came out afterwards, I asked them what they thought of, performance and frame rate, even when they would undock it. And everyone said ran just the same, looked just as good, which is definitely a good thing to hear, especially if you're gonna take that game with you on the go. You wanna make sure it's not, a compromised, poorly running version, and you want it to look good. And fortunately, I can tell you from everyone I talked to, it looks just as good, runs just as good as if it was playing docked on your television, which is a really good thing. So, my overall thoughts on the Switch, it's really good, has really great build quality, all the accessories, the Joy-Cons, the Switch unit itself, the dock, the Pro Controller, all feel really good, really solid, really premium products. And honestly, I think everyone's gonna love the Switch when it comes out in March. I sure know I'm looking forward to mine. So thanks for hanging out with me here at Pixel Raider. I'm Antonio, and we'll see you guys for Switch launch.